And welcome once again, everybody. My name is Jason Davis. This is Empower Volusia with our episodes of Common Sense. And sometimes in government, common sense is not too common. And we're coming to you from the Iron Bunker, hidden in the highlands of West Volusia County, guarded by 2 rabid Pomeranians and 1 crazy cat. And life here in the old Iron Bunker is pretty cool. It's a little peaceful and quiet today, so we're enjoying that. Anyways, let me tell you what. Every single day, I just shake my head. Government. See, I was in government. I was the highest elected official in Volusia County. It was called the county chair. And in other words, I'm the one that signed all the legislation. I led the meetings. I was the face and the voice of Volusia County. And I look pretty good in my suit and tie. Since then, I've kind of stepped out of the public light until these podcasts. But, I wore a suit and tie. And I keep telling everybody, you know what, I haven't changed since the day I was born. I was born bald and cute, and I'm still bald and cute. So it's... life is continuing. Anyways, so here we are, and just like I said, I just shake my head at the ridiculousness that I see. You know, other than the Russian collusion project, as I call it, from all the leftists who just didn't want to hear that Donald Trump won the election, and we're going to get him out. But, I think I've told it in a previous podcast. You got to be careful, because guess what? You get rid of Trump, you have Mike Pence. That's the order of progression. Hillary Clinton is not coming into office. She is nowhere in the order of succession. Nowhere. I think I would be higher in the order of succession than Hillary Clinton. But anyways, no, the more ridiculous thing is these 20-some-odd candidates who just keep piling on the Democratic bandwagon to run for office. Yes, some people just have to be in office. Just their focus in life, and that's what these guys are doing. So here we go. They're talking to you about free. Sounds like that commercial during the beginning of the year for the tax returns. Free. Everybody gets free. Let me just say something, folks, and I'll get into this more in depth. We'll go farther into the weeds here, because knowledge is power. And if you know what you're talking about, you have that authority and that power to speak confidently. So let me tell you what's going on. Let me give you a slight education. If you're listening to this and you kind of are on the left side of the aisle, as a liberal, a Democrat, whatever, let me give you the warnings. You're being lied to. And this is a fact. Instead of being free, they should say lie. Because everything they're telling you is truly a lie. Bernie Sanders has said, I'm going to give free Medicare for all, and we're going to get rid of everybody's student debt. You know, Ms. Harris is doing the same thing. Buttigieg is doing the same thing. Even Joe Biden is doing the same thing. Every one of the 23, 24, whatever candidates are telling you, we're going to give you free health care, Medicare for all. We're going to knock out your college debt. Yes, we're going to take away all your college debt. You will have free universities and free local community college and free trade schools and free meals for children in schools and free this and free that. But there's no free lunch, folks. I hate to break your heart. Mr. Bernie Sanders just talking about giving Medicare for all is a $5 trillion a year project. $5 trillion a year. You have to understand the scope of the United States. There's over 460 million people in the United States, citizens. And yes, you have to be a citizen to vote in accordance to the law of the land, which is a federal law, which is called the United States Constitution. So we have over 460 people, citizens of the United States, and we're going to give them free health care, free Medicare for all. Wonderful. The only problem is, like I said, it's going to cost like $5 trillion. Who's going to pay for it? Oh, the federal government will pay for it. You're right. But now let's get into the weeds. Where does the federal government get their money? They don't just print it and say, we have the money, although they have in the past. No, there has to be something that backs up that amount of money in the bank account for the federal government, and it's called taxes. That's right. Your tax rate is ridiculous. Will go up. We're at, 23, 22, 23% of my annual income, and everybody else's annual income, unless you make over $70,000 or something a year, then it goes higher to like 34. It's a weird number. It's not an even number. It's not a normal number. It's an odd number just to really confuse everybody, I guess. But anyways, that's what you pay every year in your annual income to taxes. 2 years ago was 25.6%, but now it's like 23%. So we have had a savings of percentages in our paycheck. Thank you, President Trump. But Bernie thinks that you would be happy to spend more money in taxes to pay for all of the programs they want to do. No, we don't. Think that through. The more you pay in taxes, the less you have to do anything with. And I mean anything, no new sneakers for the kids. That new iPod you want to buy for the grandkids, that ain't going to happen because you got to pay your taxes, and you don't make that much money now. Then he wants to pay off all your student debts. That's another $1.6 trillion. $1.6 trillion. Now we're up to something like $7 trillion. And he isn't even elected. He wants to do this, spend $7 trillion so everybody can be get all their school debts paid, and everybody can have Medicare for all. But what if you're not sick? What if you don't have a need for Medicare for all? You still are going to have to pay your taxes. Still. He's talking about, low-cost housing. We're going to get, the housing projects back together. That didn't work out so well the first time. And he wants to have open borders. Wait a minute. Open borders? Well, that's going to be another $8 trillion to pay for all those people that are just going to come meandering on through and say, I need my Medicare. That's right. I need my Medicare, and all the drugs and all the problems that come from the gangs. Not all the people coming over the border are bad people. No. But the ones that are coming over from gangs are trying to avoid incarceration or worse, because they're in trouble. They got busted. So here we are. So that's more trillions of dollars and more trillions of dollars. Our federal debt right now is at $22 trillion and rising, because Obamacare, which was supposed to lower our cost, actually increased the cost, and also increased our debt by $11 trillion in 2 years. Yes, it was horrible. And what it did is it made a captured audience. You have to have health care, and only these companies are selling the health care, but you have to buy it. That was a bad idea. Now, the rest of it I don't care about, but the mandate for the citizens was ridiculous and costly, and if you didn't pay, they were going to take your tax return. That was just another way of getting all the money back so they don't have to pay you money. You were being lied to. You're still being lied to, because the United States Constitution dictates that we will not be a socialist government. We are a representative democracy is what we are. And it states it very clearly with the separations of powers, the creation of legislature, the creation of executive board, the creation of the judicial system. That is a representative democracy. And if you try to throw socialism into it, it throws the entire balance of the system out of whack, and it will destroy the country. But the Constitution doesn't allow for that. It doesn't. Also, so then we go on further. So you're being lied to by, let's bring socialism in here. You can't do it for that. And, the Second Amendment to the Constitution, everybody thinks it's just so you can own a gun. No, it is not. And just like we took an oath in the military, I do solemnly swear to protect this country from all enemies, foreign and domestic, which means that incorporated with the Second Amendment, if this country starts going out of whack and our government can't handle it or is really the ones causing it to go out of whack, we, the citizens, have a right to stand up and say no. By any means, we do. It's the facts. It happened before. We did it in 1776. I do not want to see that happen again, but it can come to that. Moving on. So you're being lied to. All this money. And now we got reparations coming through. And now here's a funny thing about reparations. Let me give you some more simple math. This is simple math, folks. 460 million Americans in the country. If they take, and here's the best part, $100 million and they put it into a bank account, into an account for reparations and say, we're going to pay this money out for reparations. Believe me, because I have been in government and I've seen it happen several times, time and time again, that there is administrative costs for doing this. There's postage, there's research, there's verification. You've got this committee, that committee, these committees, these people, this bureau, that bureau. All this money has to go pay these people, and it's $20 million right off the top of that $100 million. We'll just say it for a nice round number. $20 million goes to these people and the organizations to make sure that you're an African American. Yeah, that's right. We can't just look at you and say, yep, you're an African American. Oh, my goodness. No, that's racial profiling. Isn't it? By the definition of the law. But no, you have to prove that you're an African American, and you have to prove that your lineage comes from slavery, because this is reparations for slavery. So we'll just say they put that $100 million away, and then they take $20 million out to function and do their job and figure out who's an African American and who's not. And then we say, all right, now we're going to take all the rest of that money and we're going to pay reparations. Now, before you jump up and do the Snoopy dance, thank you, Charles M. Schultz, for doing the Snoopy dance. I love that program. I love that cartoon. But before you start doing your Snoopy dance, before you start throwing a party, there are 40 million African Americans in the United States today. 40 million. Give or take. And if you take 80 million and you divide it evenly, which they will not, but let's just say we're going to do the right thing, the fair thing, and we're going to divide that, you get $2. $2 out of 80 million. It's almost like having one of those class action lawsuits where everybody jumps on board and yes, after the attorneys and everybody gets their money out of it because they're going to make a ton of money, you get $1.50 for a $20 billion settlement. That doesn't quite seem fair. If they were going to give you a substantial amount of money, they would have to put somewhere in the neighborhood of $1 trillion aside to pay reparations. $1 trillion. That would give you about $1,000. Doesn't seem very fair for anybody. Not at all. Let me tell you what the reparations and all of this stuff is that we've just talked about. The college, the free college, to pay off your college debt, the Medicare for all. Let's do all this great stuff. Let me tell you what it is. It's very simply this: a political ploy to get you to vote for them. The truth and the facts of the matter are that when they do the reparation committee, that's all they had the hearing for, was to decide whether or not they're going to do a reparations committee. So the reparations committee is just going to sit around for the next 18 months, mark my words, 18 months, hold meetings once a week or whenever they're up there in Congress, and they're not up there that much, but whenever they're up there, they're going to have their meetings, and then after the election, they're going to say that it's too expensive to do. We can't do that because we don't have the money. Wait a minute. You promised me $40 million, $80 million. Yes, but that's $2 to you. That's it. That's not quite right. It's a political ploy and a game. Wise up, folks. This is the truth. When anybody out there on the campaign trail says, I'm going to give you Medicare for all, I'm going to pay off your student debt, I'm going to do this for you, that for you, free college, free universities, free trade schools, free community college, it's a political ploy and a lie, because the President of the United States can't do that. You've seen it with Trump. He has to go to Congress and literally beg to get the funding to build the wall. Beg, even though everybody up there, every single elected official sitting there today has in the past said, we need a wall, we need to secure our borders, we need to do something to stop illegal immigration. It's not right, it's not fair, it's a burden on society. But they won't, because it's him. They're just going to say no, and he has to fight. Now, he just has to fight for $20 billion, which is not even close to $10 trillion. Okay? So do you honestly think that one of these Democrat socialists will actually get up there in office and say, okay, here we go. They've always lied to you. Barack Obama said you could keep your doctor if you like him. Guess what? You couldn't. You had to go in their network, and most doctors weren't going to accept the Obamacare because it didn't pay. It doesn't pay out, and that's why it was not widely accepted or appreciated. That's number one. They promised you in the past, they promised everybody tax cuts. They promised to tax the wealthy. That's another one they're doing. Tax the wealthy. You know what? If they really think you are stupid, they think you are uneducated and stupid because they're going to tell you the same BS lines they've been telling you for 75 years. We're going to tax the wealthy. But you know what? If you're running for president, you're part of the wealthy. Yes, you had better have several $1 million in the bank to run for office, because it ain't cheap and it ain't free, and sometimes that money just doesn't come in like you need it, and you have to reach in your pocket to do it. Donald Trump spent $1 billion of his own money. That's why he's worth $3.8 billion instead of 4.9, because he did that. But he had the money to do it. Bernie Sanders has 3 homes. That's right, he has 3 houses scattered across the countryside. He makes $200,000+ a year. His wife makes, I'm sure, a 6-figure salary. But look at all the special interest groups that are helping out Mr. Bernie Sanders. Even when he's not on the campaign trail, there's a lot of money, believe me, that's going around. Congress, the House and the Senate are both notorious for making millionaires. That's what they do. So, trust me, he is one of the wealthiest. Joe Biden is one of the wealthiest. Kamala Harris, they are all wealthy. They have 7 figures in their bank account or better. Don't tell me you're going to tax yourself 50%. You are a liar. Nobody does that. If you want to pay more taxes, by all means, write that check to the Treasury Department and say, here you go. They will gladly accept that money. How about that? Let's call it volunteer socialism. If you want to give half your paycheck, go ahead and write the check and give it to the IRS or to the Treasury Department. The IRS is the Treasury Department. Just write it off and give it to the IRS, say a gift to you. And have a nice day. So, you're being lied to, folks. You can always tell when a Democratic candidate today is lying because his lips are moving. No president has the authority to write a check for $1 trillion. If so, Trump would have done that, and he would have given us a wall. No president in the history of this country has or even by the Constitution, we'll just go with the Constitution, has the authority to pay off all your debt, your student loans. And it specifically states in the Constitution that the federal government cannot control businesses. You can tax them, you can give them rules they have to follow, yes. But you cannot tell a college, community college, or a trade school that you have to give free tuition to anybody. Somebody's got to pay for it. And they will not accept them. So you cannot, as a president, get into Medicare and make the rules free Medicare for all. You can't do it. Because the budget and the money, the purse strings of this country reside in the House of Representatives. They make the budget. They're the ones that have the Ways and Means Committee. They are the chief financial officers for this country, not the president. And there's a reason for that. It's called checks and balances. So this BS lie that every one of these candidates is telling you, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. My favorite one is Joe Biden. I'm going to go fix this. I'm going to cure cancer, he said. And I had to laugh. Let me just explain this to you, folks. Joe Biden's been up there for almost 50 years. 50 years. 8 years as a vice president, and all the remainder as a senator, and he ain't fixed squat yet. And Mr. Bernie Sanders saying he knows all about capitalism is another farce lie, because Bernie Sanders has never held a job outside of public service as a senator. He was a protester in his younger days, and then he was elected to the Senate. And now he's just a big mouth up there, telling you he knows all about capitalism when he has no clue how to run a business, what is entailed in running a business. If any of these people up there running for office ran a business and knew what was entailed in being in business, believe me, they wouldn't be talking about socialism for everybody. So there you go, folks. That is the truth that you needed to hear. Because I'm here to tell you, the truth will set you free. And maybe, we just hope, maybe some of this gets out to some of the Democrats out there and the liberals and extreme lefters and understand. And you listen. I have nothing to gain from you listening and understanding. It's my job as I have so deemed upon myself to bring you the truth about government. Thanks for listening to Empower Volusia. Maybe one day, common sense will prevail.